I want to start with a confession. I'm deeply suspicious of books that promise blueprints, especially when the subject is abolition. Because abolition does not happen on paper, it happens through struggle, through failure, through people who refuse to accept that cages are inevitable. That is why How to Abolish Prisons matters, not because it tells you how in the managerial sense, but because it shows you who already has. Rachel Herzing and Justin Piché called this book a love letter. That is not sentimentality, it's a political choice. This is a book about organizers who stayed, who did not chase headlines, who did not dilute their demands to be invited into the room. The core argument is simple and ruthless. Prisons are not broken, they are doing exactly what they were designed to do. The book opens with a story from the late 1960s when Jerome Miller, a social worker running the youth prison system in Massachusetts, tried reform, concluded the institutions were unreformable, and shut them down entirely, replacing them with community based alternatives. No chaos, no crime wave, no apocalypse. That story alone is enough to expose decades of political dishonesty. But the real strength of the book is not history, it is method. Herzing and Piché refuse to center theory detached from practice. Instead, they reconstruct abolition from the ground up, from interviews, from campaigns, from movements that never waited for permission. The book is structured around five pathways: anti expansion organizing, prisoner solidarity, arts and culture, policy advocacy, legal advocacy. Each one is treated honestly, not romanticized, not sanitized. Take legal advocacy. The book is very clear. Law can be a weapon, but it's also a trap. Groups like Justice Now used litigation to win medical care and compassionate release. But they refused lawsuits that would make prisons more humane, because comfort stabilizes cages. This is a crucial lesson. Reform is not neutral. Some reforms shrink the system, others feed it. Abolition is not about moral purity, it's about consequences. The chapters on prisoner solidarity are devastating in their clarity. This is where the book does its most important work. Abolition does not begin with policy papers, it begins with listening to incarcerated people, with correspondence, with bond funds, with defense campaigns. One line stays with you: posting bond without asking about guilt or innocence, because cages are violence, regardless of the charge. This is a direct rejection of liberal carceral logic, the idea that some people deserve dignity and others do not. The book also refuses the false divide between abolition and care. Transformative justice is not denial of harm. It is refusal to outsource accountability to the state. Violence doesn't disappear because you build prisons. It is reproduced, racialized, gendered, managed. One of the most honest chapters is on contradictions and tensions, burnout, internal conflict, funding pressures, state cooptation. The authors do not pretend abolitionists are immune to harm or hierarchy. They insist that struggle itself is a site of learning. Then comes the chapter on victories, and the definition here matters. Not total transformation, not the end of prisons tomorrow, but people freed, jails closed, expansions stopped, cages that never get built. During COVID, thousands were released, not because the state found mercy, but because organizers forced the issue. This is what liberal narratives erase. Nothing here happened because politicians were persuaded. It happened because pressure was applied. And this is where I want to end. How to Abolish Prisons is not asking you to believe in abolition. It is asking you to take responsibility. Responsibility for the fact that prisons persist not because they work, but because they are politically convenient. Responsibility for the comfort of imagining harm can be contained, locked away, outsourced. The real threat of abolition is not chaos, it is clarity. clarity that cages are a choice, that safety has been deliberately misdefined, that alternatives already exist here and now. If this book unsettles you, that is the point. Abolition does not begin with agreement. It begins when refusal turns into action. And this book shows what that action already looks like.